Listen to me carefully. Before you scroll past this video, I need you to stop. Because what you are about to hear is not for everyone. It is for the ones who have been silenced. It is for the ones who have been talked over, shut down, and dismissed. It is for the ones who opened their mouth to defend themselves. And heaven whispered, "Not yet." God is saying something to you right now, and it is deadly serious. He is not asking you. He is not suggesting it. He is commanding it. He said, "Shut your mouth." Completely. Not because you are weak, not because you have nothing to say, but because everything you have been holding in your chest, the pain, the explanations, the defenses, the arguments you rehearse at 2 a.m. He is telling you to release your grip on all of it. Because the moment you open your mouth to defend yourself, you take the battle out of his hands and put it into yours. And you were never strong enough to fight this war alone. Hear this clearly. Your silence right now is not weakness. Your silence is warfare. Your silence is the loudest weapon in the spiritual realm. While you stay quiet, heaven is moving. While you say nothing, God is working. While everyone waits for you to explode, to argue, to prove them wrong, God is preparing to prove himself right through you in a way that will leave every mouth around you speechless. If you are watching this video right now, and your heart is pounding and your eyes are stinging with tears you don't understand, that is not an accident. That is confirmation. You are chosen. You have been set apart. And what you're feeling right now, that ache, that pressure, that unbearable urge to explain yourself to people who will never understand you anyway, that is the exact place God wants to meet you. So take a breath. Sit still. Because what I am about to tell you will change the way you carry every wound, every betrayal, every sleepless night for the rest of your life. There is a kind of pain that doesn't come from your enemies. It comes from the people who were supposed to love you. The friend who twisted your words. The family member who smiled in your face and gossiped behind your back. The partner who left when your season got hard. The people who watched you struggle and said nothing, then acted shocked when you finally broke. You wanted to scream. You wanted to defend your name. You wanted to tell them everything, every receipt, every truth, every reason why they were wrong and you were right. And God said, "Shut your mouth." Not because you don't deserve to be heard, but because your voice was never meant to be your weapon. Your silence is. Listen carefully. There is a story, old as time, about a man who was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold like property, lied about, imprisoned for a crime he never committed, forgotten by the very people he helped. For years he had every reason to scream his innocence from the rooftops, every reason to curse the ones who threw him away, every reason to demand his justice with his own mouth. But he stayed silent. Not because he had no words, he had every word. He had the truth on his side. But he trusted something bigger than his own defense. He trusted timing. He trusted a God who sees in the dark what man refuses to see in the light. And years later, after the pit, after the prison, after the years nobody was watching, that same man stood in a position of power over the very people who betrayed him. And in that moment, he didn't need to say a single word about what they did to him. His life said it for him. His elevation said it for him. His breakthrough spoke louder than every argument he could have made in that pit. That is what God is doing with you right now. Hear this clearly. While you stay silent, while you refuse to defend yourself to people who never deserved an explanation, God is quietly building your testimony. He is quietly setting up rooms you haven't entered yet. He is quietly closing doors behind people who were never meant to walk with you into your next season. This is why it hurts so much right now. This is why the silence feels unbearable. Because your flesh wants resolution today. Your flesh wants the argument won today. Your flesh wants everyone to understand you today. But God is not working on your timeline. God is working on eternity's timeline. And on that timeline, your silence is not a delay. It is a divine strategy. Listen to me. Every person who ever walked closely with God went through a season of shutting their mouth completely. Not because they had nothing to say, but because what God was doing inside them could not survive the noise of explanation. Growth cannot happen in a mouth that never stops moving. Transformation cannot happen in a life that constantly defends itself. Elevation cannot happen in a heart that keeps reopening old wounds by trying to prove them wrong. God is saying, I did not silence you to punish you. I silenced you to protect what I am building inside you. Think about a seed planted in soil. If you dig it up every single day to check if it's growing, it will never grow. It needs darkness. It needs silence. It needs stillness it cannot explain to anyone watching from the outside. That is you right now. You are a seed in the ground, and everyone around you is confused why you're not fighting back, why you're not defending yourself, why you're being so quiet during the biggest storm of your life. They don't understand, because they are not the ones who planted you. Only the one who placed you in that ground understands what is happening beneath the surface. Hear this clearly. The isolation you are feeling right now is not rejection. It is preparation. God removes people from your life not to hurt you, but to protect the sacred process happening inside you. Every friend who disappeared. Every relationship that ended without explanation. Every room you were suddenly no longer invited into, that was not the enemy attacking your life. That was heaven making space for what is coming. You were never meant to carry everyone with you into this next season. Some people were only assigned to walk with you through the pit, not through the palace. Some people were only meant to know the old version of you, the version still explaining and defending and trying to be understood. But the new version of you, the one being formed in silence, does not need everyone's approval to keep moving forward. Listen carefully. This is the loneliness of the chosen. It is real, it is painful, and it is necessary. You were never meant to walk this road surrounded by everyone who started with you. Some people fall off in the wilderness. Some people betray you right before the breakthrough. Some people watch you rise and choose to walk away instead of celebrating you. Let them go, in silence, without explanation, without an argument, without begging anyone to understand your heart. Because the moment you try to make people understand a process only God orchestrated, you invite confusion into something sacred. God is saying, I am doing something you cannot explain to people who were never invited into the plan. Hear this clearly. Right now, in this very moment, you might be tempted to break your silence. You might feel the urge rising in your chest to finally say what you've been holding back, to finally defend your name, to finally make them see the truth. But I need you to breathe, and I need you to hold on just a little longer. Because breaking silence too early can cost you the very breakthrough God is preparing. There is a difference between speaking too soon out of pain and speaking at the appointed time out of purpose. One comes from panic, the other comes from peace. One tries to force resolution, the other trusts divine timing. And right now, God is asking you to choose peace over panic, even when peace feels unbearable. Listen carefully. Spiritual warfare does not always look like demons and darkness. Sometimes spiritual warfare looks like silence. It looks like restraint. It looks like holding your tongue when every fiber of your being wants to release years of pain in one single sentence. The enemy wants you to speak too soon, to explode, to prove yourself in the flesh instead of trusting God to prove himself through your life. Every time you choose silence over vindication, you are winning a battle in the spirit realm that you cannot even see with your natural eyes. Every time you refuse to argue with people who were never assigned to understand you, you are declaring that your trust is in God, not in your own ability to convince people of your worth. Hear this clearly. God is not silent about your pain. He sees every tear you have cried alone at night. He sees every message you typed and deleted because you knew arguing wouldn't change their heart. He sees every time you bit your tongue when you wanted to scream. None of that goes unnoticed. None of that goes unrewarded. Heaven keeps a record of every wound you carried in silence for the sake of trusting Him. This is your season of preparation before elevation. This is your wilderness before your promised land. This is your pit before your palace. And just like every chosen one before you, the mouth had to close before the door could open. Listen carefully. I want you to imagine standing at the edge of everything you've been through. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every night you thought you couldn't survive the silence anymore. And in that place, imagine God standing there, not with punishment in his hands, but with a crown. Not with anger toward you, but with pride in you. Because you did what most people cannot do. You trusted him in the dark. You trusted him when explanation would have felt so much easier. You trusted him when everyone around you demanded answers you refused to give. That trust is rare. That trust is sacred. That trust is what separates the chosen ones from everyone else. God is saying, because you stayed silent when it hurt the most, I am about to speak loudly on your behalf. Hear this clearly. Your breakthrough is not going to come from an argument. It's not going to come from proving people wrong. It's going to come from a transformation so undeniable that no explanation will be necessary. When people see what God has done in your life after this season of silence, they will not need you to defend yourself. Your peace will defend you. Your growth will defend you. Your new level will defend you. This is the promise for the chosen ones who choose obedience over emotion, trust over explanation, and faith over fear. Hold on. The silence is almost over, but it will not end the way you expect. It will end in glory. Listen carefully. There is a kind of stillness that feels like death but is actually the beginning of resurrection. If you have ever felt like your life went completely quiet, no answers, no explanations, no closure, you were not being punished, you were being prepared. God does not build his strongest warriors in noise. He builds them in silence, in secrecy, in seasons where no one else can see what he is forming. Think about how a diamond is made. It is not formed in comfort. It is formed under pressure, in darkness, for a long, long time, without anyone celebrating the process. No one claps for a diamond while it's still coal under the earth. No one throws a party for a diamond mid-transformation. The praise, the recognition, the admiration that only comes after the pressure has done its work. That is you right now. You are under pressure, in a season no one else can see, being formed into something that will eventually leave people speechless. And just like a diamond doesn't explain itself to the coal around it, you don't have to explain your transformation to people who are still buried where you used to be. Hear this clearly. Some of you reading this have been carrying the weight of a lie someone told about you. A rumor, a twisted story. A version of events that painted you as the villain when you were actually the one who got hurt the most. And every single day you fight the urge to correct the record, to clear your name, to make sure everyone knows the truth. God is asking you to release that fight into his hands. Because here is the deadly serious truth. Some people will never believe the truth no matter how many times you tell it. Some hearts are not looking for facts. They are looking for a reason to justify how they treated you. And if you spend your whole life trying to convince people who have already made up their mind, you will miss the actual assignment God has for your life. Listen carefully. Your assignment was never to convince everyone of your innocence. Your assignment is to walk in obedience so undeniable that God himself becomes your defense. When he defends you, he does not do it with words. He does it with elevation. He does it with breakthrough. He does it with doors opening that no man can shut and doors closing that no man can open. Hear this clearly. God is saying, I am not asking you to be silent forever. I am asking you to be silent for now. There is a difference. Forever feels hopeless. For now feels like a season. And every season, no matter how painful, has an end. The silence you are in right now has an expiration date, even if you cannot see it yet. While you wait, do not waste this season trying to force people to understand you. Use this season to grow closer to the one who already understands you completely. Use this silence to pray instead of explain. Use this silence to read His Word instead of rehearsing your defense. Use this silence to heal instead of retaliate. Because the version of you that walks out of this silence will not be the same version that walked in. You will be sharper, wiser, calmer, stronger. And the people who once tried to provoke you into an argument will not recognize the peace radiating from your life. Listen carefully. This is the deep and deadly serious truth God wants you to understand today. Your silence is not surrender, it is strategy. Your stillness is not weakness, it is warfare. Your obedience in this season is writing a testimony that will one day silence every accusation ever spoken against you, not because you argued, but because your breakthrough spoke a language no lie could compete with. Hold on, chosen one. The mouth is closed, but the door is about to open. Now hear this clearly, because this is where the deeper revelation begins. Everything you have felt up until this point, the pressure, the confusion, the ache of staying quiet when everything in you wanted to fight back, that was only the foundation. What God is about to reveal to you now goes even deeper than silence. It goes into the very reason why He designed this season of your life the way He did. Listen carefully. There is a divine pattern that repeats throughout every story of every person God has ever used greatly. Before the elevation, there is always isolation. Before the promotion, there is always a period where it looks like nothing is happening. Before the breakthrough, there is always a season that feels like abandonment but is actually assignment. You have been feeling forgotten. You have been feeling like everyone else is moving forward while you stand still. You watch people your age reach milestones. You watch relationships bloom around you while yours seem to wither. You watch opportunities pass you by while you sit in what feels like an endless waiting room with no explanation from heaven. God is saying, I did not forget you. I am forming you. Hear this clearly. This waiting season is not empty. It is loaded. It is packed with preparation you cannot see with your natural eyes. While you feel stuck, God is stitching together connections, timing, and doors that have not opened yet because they are not ready to hold what you are becoming. If He opened the door too soon, you would walk into it as the old version of yourself, and you would collapse under the weight of what's on the other side. So He closes your mouth. He closes the doors. He closes the noise. Not to abandon you, but to give the new version of you enough time to fully form before the world ever sees it. Listen carefully. Betrayal is often the doorway to your destiny. It is painful to say, but it is deadly true. The people who hurt you the most were often the very ones God used to push you into the exact place He always intended for you to be. If they had never left, you would have never fallen to your knees. If they had never lied about you, you would have never discovered how strong your faith could be in complete isolation. If they had never abandoned you, you would have never learned to depend fully on the one who never leaves. This is why your pain has purpose. Not because pain is good, but because God is so powerful that He can take the worst thing someone did to you and use it as the very thing that launches you into your calling. Hear this clearly. God is saying, I allowed the betrayal because I refused to let you build your future with people who were assigned to break it. Some relationships were never meant to make it into your next season. Some friendships were never meant to survive your transformation. Some rooms were never meant to hold you once you stepped into who I created you to be. Listen carefully. I need you to understand something about spiritual warfare that most people never talk about. The enemy does not always attack you with obvious darkness. Sometimes the enemy attacks you through silence itself, twisting it into shame, into isolation, into hopelessness. He wants you to believe that your silence means God has abandoned you. He wants you to believe that the quiet is punishment, not preparation. He wants you to break under the weight of unanswered questions so that you give up right before your miracle. But hear this clearly. The enemy trembles at chosen ones who can endure silence without losing their faith. He trembles at the ones who can wait without becoming bitter. He trembles at the ones who can watch everyone else seem to move forward while they hold their peace and trust God's timing completely. That is you. That is why this battle feels so intense. Because you are not fighting for something small. You are fighting for a calling so significant that hell itself is trying to talk you out of your obedience. Listen carefully. Every chosen one throughout history has walked through a wilderness before walking into their promise. Every single one, no exceptions. The wilderness is not a punishment, it is a classroom. It is where faith is built without an audience. It is where character is formed without applause. It is where your relationship with God becomes so deep that no person's rejection can shake it anymore. Hear this clearly. If you are in your wilderness right now, do not curse the silence. Do not curse the isolation. Do not curse the waiting. Because everything being formed in you right now cannot be formed anywhere else. You could not become who you are becoming while surrounded by noise, opinions, and people who never truly understood the assignment on your life. Listen carefully. God is saying, I removed the noise so you could finally hear me. For years you were surrounded by voices, friends, family, social media, culture, opinions, telling you who you were, what you should feel, how you should respond. And in the middle of all that noise, you could barely hear the whisper of your own purpose, let alone the voice of God guiding you toward it. So he brought silence. Not because he is punishing you, but because he wants you to finally hear him clearly without the interference of everyone else's expectations. Hear this clearly. In this silence, God is teaching you who you truly are apart from everyone else's opinion of you. He is teaching you that your worth was never determined by the people who left. He is teaching you that your identity was never tied to the relationships that ended in betrayal. He is teaching you that your calling does not depend on anyone's approval, understanding, or presence. Listen carefully. This is where transformation happens before elevation. This is where God strips away everything that was built on other people's validation, so he can rebuild your foundation on something unshakable. He is not just changing your circumstances, he is changing your identity. And identity change always requires silence, because you cannot hear who God says you are while you're busy trying to convince everyone else of who you think you are. Hear this clearly. This is also where God removes fake people from your life, not because he is cruel, but because he is protecting the sacred work being done inside you. Fake people cannot survive real transformation. They were comfortable with the old version of you, the version that argued, explained, and sought their approval. But the new version of you, forged in silence and faith, does not need their validation anymore. And that shift threatens them. So they leave. And their leaving is not loss, it is deliverance. Listen carefully. You are standing on the edge of a breakthrough that will completely reshape your life. But breakthroughs after this level of pain are never small. They are not average. They are not ordinary. When God takes you through a season this intense, this isolating, this deeply silent, he is preparing you for a level of elevation that requires everything old to be stripped away first. Hear this clearly. Victory after this much endurance does not look like a small win. It looks like restoration on a scale you cannot yet imagine. It looks like doors opening in places you never applied for permission. It looks like relationships forming that are healthier than anything you experienced before. It looks like peace so deep that people ask how you survived what you survived and still smile the way you smile. Listen carefully. God is saying, I am going to elevate you in a way that requires no explanation, because your life will speak for itself. This is the deadly serious truth about your silence. It was never about hiding your pain. It was about protecting your purpose until it was strong enough to withstand the weight of your calling. Hear this clearly. The breakthrough is closer than you think. The silence is almost over. But when it ends, it will not end with an argument won. It will end with a testimony so undeniable that every person who doubted you, betrayed you, or abandoned you will witness the goodness of God working through your obedience. Listen carefully. Hold your peace a little longer. Trust the process a little longer. Let God finish what He started in the silence, because what He is building in you right now cannot be rushed, cannot be explained, and cannot be stopped. You are chosen. You are set apart. You are being prepared for something greater than you have ever imagined. And soon, very soon, the silence will break, not with your voice defending you, but with God's glory speaking through your life in a way the whole world will notice. Hold on, chosen one. Your breakthrough is coming. Your silence was never wasted. Your season is about to change forever. If these words touched something deep inside you, comment the word chosen right now so heaven knows you received this message. Strengthen your faith today. Trust God's timing, even when it hurts. And subscribe, because there are more messages coming that you were always meant to hear.